Hey guys, this is Bhagat, and today we're gonna be doing a sketch review where I'll go over some of the ways of improving your sketches. So this sketch was sent in by a young artist, and I see a lot of sketches like this where people send me their artwork, and a lot of them tend to look like what he has here. So I think this is a good place to start from. If you're interested in how to improve your sketching or drawing, then I think this is a video for you. Chances are you're probably drawing something like this, where you have the eyes, the outline of the eyes with the round pupil, the outline of the nose and stuff. You're able to get the outlines in, but you're not able to get it to look exactly like your reference. And this person who sent this in, they sent in the reference that they were using, and so we can see the difference between the two, between the sketch and the reference. And a lot of drawing is about observation. So in this video we're going to be talking about how to improve our observation skills and how to apply what we observe to our drawings. So I think the eyes are the most important feature of the face, and so it's important to do the eyes correctly, and you want to do them to the best of your ability, because they're going to define the face. All the other features are secondary. So when we're looking at the eyes, we can see, this is Akshay Kumar, by the way. This is his new movie, I guess, on the Battle of Sargadi, and he is dressed as one of the Sikh soldiers from 1900s. So Akshay Kumar is, if you look at his eye, he's got this, there's the eyebrow right there, and then he's got this skin that's coming down right here. So immediately we could apply that to our sketch, and we can have that flap there, right? That flap of skin. I'm just gonna lighten the layer underneath so you guys can see my edits a little bit better. So we added that flap of skin in there, and when we're doing the eye, we have to pay attention to all the curves and stuff. So right here you have the eyelid, and you can see there's a line there with the highlight on top of it. That's the highlight right there. So the structure, it's like, it's this, and it comes out a little bit, and then it goes and it curves back in, and then it goes down like that. So there's that three-dimensional structure that we need to be paying attention to. So when we're doing this, we gotta bring that knowledge into our drawing, of having that that three-dimensional structure. How do we bring that into a two-dimensional drawing? Well, first we have to understand how it would look on 2 dimensions. So the reference is good for that, because in the reference you can see how a three-dimensional eye looks in 2 dimensions, and so we want to bring that over into our drawing. So we have a highlight up there, and then we have a line down there, and then we have a line just below the eye that shows the bottom of the eyeball. So this is the part of the eyelid that curves around the bottom of the eyeball. paying attention to these type of things will help improve your drawing. So here we can see the eyebrow actually comes, there's a flap of the skin and then it actually curves up, right? And that's missing here, so we can add that in. And then you have the eyeball, the curve of the eyeball right there, with this area right here with the eyelid wrapping around it like that. So we can add that into our drawing. We see there's this fold in the skin, this turn, so the nose is wrapping around like this, and there's a fold here, and then it folds again and does that and reaches the eye. So we want to have that kind of structure. We want to follow that when we're doing when we're working on the eye. We have to pay attention very closely to what we're drawing. And you can see this region is pretty much covered in darkness. And the pupil, let's add that in. So the eyebrow actually starts here and then it goes up. This is the skin that comes down. The eyebrow is actually going up like that. So we can add that in right here. Below the eye we see that he has this bagginess to it right here that we can add into our drawing. And already we can see that the turban here is drawn a little bit in the drawing. It's drawn a little bit too close to the eyes, so we can push it out a little bit. Okay, so let's move on to the other eye now. So when you're drawing the eye, you have to be careful of where you're placing the pupil. This eye, the way the pupil is placed, makes it look like it's just looking straight ahead at you. But that's not what Shikumar is doing here. He's actually looking off into the distance. So you have to be careful of how you place the pupil with the relation to the sides of the eye, right? This distance here and this distance here, if they're equal, it's gonna look like the person is looking straight ahead. If you just move the pupil a little bit over, the person looks like they're looking in a certain direction. So you have to be careful where you place the pupil. But let's start from the beginning. So right here, this area, I'm looking at this area right here, and I'm looking to see how the eyebrow curves and where the flap of the skin is. So you can see the flap of skin that kind of droops is right here. So you want to pay attention to this curve, and you want to pay attention to this curve when you're drawing. And then when you're drawing, you go in and then put those in before you do the eye. Once you put those in, then you see, okay, well, where is it dark? Well, it's dark here, and it's dark there. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that part in. And then again, we have that 3D-ness of the eye where it goes in, comes out, and then it curves around the eyeball. this is the eyeball, this is the eyelid thickness, this is the eyelid curving around the eyeball. So you want to indicate those areas into your drawing and make sure that the pupil is facing off into make sure the pupil is, it looks like it's looking off into a different direction. And in order to do that, in order to make sure the pupil looks as if it's looking somewhere else and not straight at you, you have to increase the distance on one side. So the distance here is greater than this distance right here. Because if you imagine the eye, the width of the eye is from here to here. This is greater than this. So the pupil is shifted to the left a little bit and it makes it look like the person is looking left. And then this eye then gives us the turban. We can start to wrap the turban around the eyes a little bit. So Akshay Kumar has this wrinkle right here in between, and then one right there. We can add those features in. And now you have to pay attention to his nose. So our artist here has curved the nose and made it really big, whereas this part of the nose is actually, it's actually not part of the main ball of the nose. It's actually the nostril. Right, it's actually the nostril. You have to be careful of that. You have to be very careful when you're making observations like this. So I'm going to go in and actually correct that. And that will give us this line here, this curve gives us the basic shape of the nose. And from this highlight we can see that the nose actually has a shape to it, and we can kind of indicate that here by through lines. We can indicate that shape. And then let's come to the nostril now. So the nose curves around and turns into the nostril right here, and this part of the nostril actually tucks in into the hole. The rest of it is pretty good. Be careful of this area right here, because you see this area right here where it goes like that, and then it goes like that, and then you see a line here and you see a line there. You want to get that detail in there in your drawing. And this cheek fold, this comes with age. In young people this is not going to be as prominent, but in older people you're gonna have that. And let's also draw in the rest of the nostril here. Okay, so that gives us the eyes and the nose. So when you're looking at a drawing, you got to keep an eye on the highlights. So you have this region here, which is, and we see this highlight because if I take my pencil and draw a contour, imagine a line running down his face. The line comes out here with the thickness of the eyelid, curves around the eyelid, drops down to the cheek, and then it actually comes out a little bit, maybe not that much, just a little bit, and then it drops, and then it curves down, and then it goes like that. So this contour is creating these highlights here, And same as on this side. This is curves around in there, and then it comes out, curves a little bit, and then there's a sharp curve here, which leads to this highlight. It also leads to this shadow here. So when you're drawing, you wanna keep that in mind, and you wanna get some of that detail in it. I'm gonna hit that shadow region because I can't draw in a highlight with black. I can indicate some of the detail there using the shadows and accentuating the shadows a little bit, exaggerating them. And I'm gonna do the same for the left side of the right cheek. Okay, so after the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, we're gonna do the lips, and the lips are pretty important as well. So this is a common way of doing lips. Just put a line like that, put a line like that. But lips aren't really like that. The lips have a shape to them that we have to pay attention to, and that we should try to bring that understanding into our drawing to try and indicate those shapes via lines. So if you look at Akshay Kumar's lips, he has this is where his lips will part, this line right here, and then it comes down and then it goes up, right? Automatically we know it's not a straight line, it's something like that. And then the upper lip has this highlight right there, and this indicates that the lip actually folds in like that. It's actually coming down like this, and it's folding into his mouth, which is also indicated by this line right here, this shadow. So we can incorporate that in our drawing. And the mustache. Now this is not a real mustache, this is fake, but real mustaches would look somewhat similar. And the bottom lip is, so this line right here is the shadow of the upper lip. The bottom lip, the edge of it is right here, and just below that edge is his beard. If we were doing a more detailed drawing, maybe we could put in the shadow and then have the edge of the lip and then have the beard below it. So when you're doing the beard, you don't want to just make it a flat black color. You can see there's all kinds of highlights, there's all kinds of wavy lines going across it. So you want to get those in, and you want to pay attention to where the highlights are and where the dark areas are. So you can see that here, this part of the mustache is in complete darkness because the nose is casting a shadow on it, and it puts it in darkness. So we can go ahead and make that black. But this part's in the light. This part's in shadow, and then you have light again, and you have shadow again. So we can indicate that using darks and lights in our drawing. And again, this part is in shadow, this part of the beard is in shadow. And then here's the light area, light area, light area. So we can indicate that here. Add shadows. add shadows here. And so on. So we could work on the beard for a while and make sure that that looks good. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the lines that you're using. So let's look at the lines of the turban. So here you have a line up here that indicates the top of the turban. You have a line and that indicates the bottom of the turban. But if you look in the drawing, there's no actual line there. What you have is this highlight, this light yellow that goes across the top of the turban where the light is hitting it. One way to indicate that when you're drawing is actually to keep your line at the highlight area very light. So you want to have this line be very light, and you want to make sure that you're actually, because this, you want to make sure you're following the contours of the object that you're drawing as accurately as possible. So here you want, it's going up and then it's going down a little bit. It goes up again and it comes back down. You want to have that when you're drawing it. You don't want to just make it a straight curve. You want to have those areas the way they are in your reference. And when you have a highlighted, like there's a highlight right here, when you have that, you want to keep the line as thin and light as possible. So highlights, use a thin and light line. And conversely, when we look at the bottom of the turban, it's dark, it's in shadow, so we want to use a thicker line to indicate that. Right, so this line, if we look at an original drawing, this line right here, which is the same darkness as this line, which is not the case here. This line is much darker than this one. So we want to follow that and actually have a lighter line here that is lighter than that. And when we're drawing the folds of the turban, we want to make sure that we're capturing some of these rough folds. We want to capture some of the realistic texture of these folds, the bumps and the imperfections. And we want to get the major folds in as well. So this fold kind of starts to overlap that one right there. We want to get some of that in our drawing. So we want to try and capture the the turban as realistically as possible. We don't want to just draw a shape and then fill it up with lines, you know, randomly. We want to go in there and actually look at what the turban, how the turban is curving, right? So this is a main fold right here. This was a main fold, the imperfect one. This is another fold right here, and then here it's mostly lines. And look, and there's all kinds of lines in here that you could use to texture the turban. In the drawing, you could use these kind of lines to bring texture into your turban. It doesn't have to be exact, but it could accentuate the turban a little bit and make it look like it's a turban, right? So, and you also want to pay attention to the values. So here, this symbol is shining, and when the light hits it, it's actually really white. So when you're drawing this symbol, you don't want to make it dark. You want to make it light. So you want to work around it, and you don't want to try and draw this in. You want to actually draw the shadows a little bit. You want to draw the dark areas, and you just want to kind of hint, because you can't really see what's going on in here, but you can kind of see there's 2 circles, and there's this little thing which has a shadow, and then there's a turban fold right here, and then this area has a shadow right there. There's a shadow right there. Put that in, and then this shadow right here, you could draw that in, right? You could color it in and make it dark, and that'll make it look like there's something there, you know. You want to work around it, the light areas. You don't want to make the light areas dark. And then you want to pay attention to the values. So this chakra right here, it's not as dark as this, so you want to keep it light, and you want to keep in mind the 3D geometry of it. So it's a disc, and it has this edge here, but it also has, because it's a 3D object, also has a height, it also has a thickness, so it has that edge right there. It's very small. You could put that in your drawing. You can hint at it slightly. And when you're trying to shade the chakra in, you don't want to make it as dark as you've made it. It is certainly dark here. It's certainly dark in this region. And you could do that. You could exaggerate that a little bit. So those are the main facial features here. Other things that I would work on is your observations with regards to the belt and the button. So again, the belt is a 3D object. It's curving around, and it curves around and it has a certain thickness to it and a certain length to it. So there's this width, and there's this thickness right here. When you're drawing it, you want to pay attention to that, and you want to maintain that thickness. You want to maintain that width. And when you're drawing this buckle, you want to try and draw that in So it's basically a cylinder with a tube inserted in. So you want to draw a cylinder with tubes inserted in. You want to actually draw in the whole thing. Try and practice your basic shapes as well. Cylinder, cube. Try drawing these and try coloring these in. That'll help your drawing quite a bit. And then this button is basically an oval. It's not a circle, right? It's an oval. So you want to draw it in as that, because the button in reality is a circle from the top, but because you're looking at it from the side, you're seeing it as an oval, and it has a certain thickness to it, so it's not a flat circle. It's actually, it has a thickness to it. And so there's that flap of the shirt, and then you want to put in this cast shadow right here. You want to put that in there because that'll indicate it'll make it look 3D. It'll capture some of that illusion of reality, because in reality there are cast shadows. So you know, when you're drawing, you have to, one, pay attention to the features. When you're drawing a portrait, you want to pay attention to the features of the face, especially the eyes, nose, cheeks, lips, ear, facial hair. You want to pay attention to those features, and then when you're drawing, you want to translate those features to the best of your knowledge to the paper. And number one, you want to pay attention to the features, and number two, you want to pay attention to the 3D geometry, the 3D structure of the features and of the objects in your reference, and you want to translate those accurately into your drawing as well. So in order to do that, you would have to practice a lot of basic shapes like cube, cylinder, sphere, and practice shading those in. So when we do that, when we pay attention to a reference, I think we can improve the drawing quite a bit. And so hopefully in this lesson you've learned how to observe a drawing and how to take that observation and put it in your own drawing. And I think I'm gonna end the video right here. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll be putting out some more videos as well, so keep an eye out. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions regarding this lesson. Let me know if you struggle with any types of objects, like it could be anything like turbans or eyes or whatever. If you struggle with that, let me know, and I'll try to do a lesson based on your comments. Alright, see you later, guys.